Hi everybody, so this is a disclaimer before we start the actual video. I taped this part after because what I didn't know about the consultation was that they were going to ask me questions about my family history. And what I did not want to do was disclose any of my family members' medical history. So, what you will see is an edited version of the consultation. The video will stop after the results are given, and when the consultation goes into my family history, the video will end. So I just wanted to give you all that heads up so that you have a firm understanding as to why the video just ends abruptly. All right, hope you're ready. Hi everybody, Tiffany Epiphany here. Thank you so much for joining me along my IVF journey. If this is your first time here, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to my channel and click the notification button so that when I upload videos, you'll be the first to know. For all of those who are returning, hey, thank you so much for being committed to this process with me. I really do appreciate it. And you know what? I am starting to now just kind of get used to, posting and editing, and it's a whole different world out here, like in these YouTube streets. It really is. But nonetheless, as you saw by the title of today's video, I am going to be sharing with you all my genetics testing results. The appointment is at 12:15 and it is 12:11 right now, Eastern Standard Time, by the way. And I thought I'd go ahead and get recording and do my introduction and things of that nature before I jumped in on the call. But just to give you all an update on what's been going on, really nothing much. I mean, other than me just going to my acupuncture appointments, which I'm going to do a separate video about that. And I've just been trying to rest and relax because that's one of the things my acupuncturist said she wants me to do. But like I said, that's going to be a separate video. But I've been just, resting, relaxing, been doing some journaling. I've been going to bed fairly on time, but like I said, that's kind of attached to, well, not like what I said, but the not going to sleep on time as much is kind of tied into what I want to share in the acupuncture video. So we'll just leave it at that. I've been okay with the sleep. Let's see. Yeah, just really, it's all been mental. Nothing physical as much, other than, me going to the gym more often, exercising, eating better. I've just really been trying to ground myself and get myself mentally prepared for this process. So nothing has really been going on much. I think things will start to pick up next week because next week is when I will begin my injections. Oh, well, I did get my med list. I will say that I did that, and I'm actually looking at my computer to make sure I don't go over time, because these people were like, if you miss your appointment, you got to pay $50, and I ain't doing it. But I did get my med list, and I was quite surprised that it was not as much as I thought it was going to be. I'm in a plethora of groups where women have shared they have paid $5,000, $6,000, sometimes $7,000 in medications, and I just knew that I was going to have to, well, I'm not going to say what I was going to say, but do a couple of strange things for some change, just to pay for the medication. Nonetheless, I did get my med list and the price quote for the meds, and I am happy to say that it was in the affordable range. It was much lower than I expected, and on top of that, I have had some
Hi.
assistance. Oh gosh. Oh, oh wait. Hello.
Hi.
Oh, hold on just one second. I didn't
Okay.
even know I had opened my. I'm doing a blog. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Are you available now?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Okay, no problem. Can I? Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you.
I didn't even know it was open. Oh my gosh, I'm doing my blog, and anyway,
No problem. Can I just have you confirm your name and date of birth for me?
yes, Tiffany Williams,
Okay.
January 8th, 1983.
Perfect. Thank you. My name's Allie. I'm your genetic counselor today to go over the results of your carrier screening.
Okay.
Has anyone talked to you about these results yet?
No.
Okay, no problem. So really what I do is I'm just going to refresh you on what this testing is that you had done. We'll go through your results and then I'll go ahead and get a family history from you as well,
Okay.
just to make sure that there is nothing else going on in the family that may warrant additional testing beyond what you already had done.
Okay.
Okay? And then just for my understanding, do you have a partner who is also planning to have screening? Are you using a donor?
I'm using
Freezing
a
your
donor.
eggs? Okay. And have you selected a donor already? Or are you still in the process?
Still in the process. Hopefully, I'll have someone select. Well, not some. Well, you know what I'm saying. Someone
Yeah,
selected
yeah. Yes,
this week.
absolutely. Yeah, no problem. So I'll go over with you as well, like what our recommendations are as far as testing for a donor. Um, and then just so you're aware, at Gene Screen, we are available for donor reviews if you want to do one. So basically, we can do up to 3 donors per session. So if you have a couple and you want us to like review their genetic testing and their family history stuff with you, that's something that we are available for. You would just call our main number and schedule that.
Okay.
Okay. So just so you're aware, but I will go through with you like what our general recommendations are going to be. Um, all right. So yeah, we can go ahead and get started then.
Okay.
So you had expanded carrier screening. This tested 283 genes associated with different genetic disorders. So we all have 2 copies of every gene. We get one from each of our parents. So being a carrier for one of these conditions that we're testing just means that there's a mutation or a genetic change on one copy of the gene that makes that copy not work properly. So carriers still have another copy of the gene that functions normally, and that's why they usually don't show any symptoms of whatever they're carrying. So, really what we are most concerned about when we do this testing is to see if 2 genetic parents are both carrying the same disease. And if they are, then there is a 25% chance to have a child with that condition. Okay? So I'll go ahead and share my screen with you. So this is your report. You were identified to be a carrier for 2 conditions that we tested.
Okay.
So I'll go through each of these with you, but you were negative for the other 281 disorders.
Okay.
So for those other 281 conditions, your risk to have a child with those, even if you pick a donor who's a carrier for one of those things, it's going to be a significantly less than 1% chance to have an affected child. Okay? Um, so then to go over these 2 with you that you were found to carry, the first one is called alpha thalassemia. This is part of a group of conditions called hemoglobinopathies. They impact the hemoglobin, and that's what transports oxygen through our blood. So for this condition specifically, there are actually 2 ways to be a carrier and 2 ways to be affected. So there are 2 genes involved with this disease. And normally we'd all have 2 copies of each for a total of 4 alpha globin genes. You were identified to be missing one of those alpha globin genes, which makes you a silent carrier for this condition.
Okay.
Okay? So as a silent carrier, you still have 3 genes functioning. It's not something that we would expect to impact your health at all or cause any anemia or anything for you. Someone can also be a carrier if they're missing 2 of those genes and they only have 2 left. Those individuals are carriers of alpha thalassemia trait. and they may have some anemia as a result, even though they're not actually affected with the disorder.
Okay.
To be affected with the condition, someone needs to be missing 3 of their alpha globin genes or all 4 of their alpha globin genes. Okay. If someone's missing 3, they have alpha thalassemia, also called HBH disease, and that results in anemia, an enlarged spleen, and jaundice. It can require frequent blood transfusions, and it just kind of depends on the severity, like how disabled someone would be from this. If someone's missing all 4 of their alpha globin genes, they have hemoglobin Bark syndrome. This unfortunately would result in a stillbirth or someone passing away shortly after they're born. So, as a result, we just want to make sure any, potential donor is screened for alpha thalassemia and is negative. Okay.
Okay.
And again, if they were also, if the donor you pick was also a carrier, that risk to have an affected child would be 25%. If they're unaffected, it's going to be a significantly less than 1%. Or if they're not a carrier, it's going to be a significantly less than 1% chance to have an affected child. Okay. Any questions about this condition?
So this is related to, I'm not sure how to ask this, but this affects how oxygen is carried throughout your system, basically.
Yep. Basically, okay. Yep. And it causes anemia is essentially like the main symptom. So other examples of hemoglobinopathies are beta thalassemia and sickle cell disease, for example. They are just different than alpha thalassemia specifically. Yeah. Like with sickle cell disease, for example, that's actually altering the shape of the hemoglobin. That's not the case for alpha thalassemia. It's different, but it is still having an impact on the hemoglobin and the way that it can, carry oxygen through our blood.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, we would recommend, because you were a silent carrier, we always recommend when someone carries this condition, doing a hemoglobin evaluation, which you may have actually received before in the past. And if it was normal, that's what we would expect. So they wouldn't be able to tell that you carried this as a silent carrier. But we do just recommend doing that just to confirm that it is normal, because that's what we would expect. If it is abnormal, if there are signs of anemia, then, you may need to do like iron studies or something to try to clarify if there's something else going on causing the anemia, because again, we wouldn't expect it to be the result of this.
Okay.
And then the next condition that you were found to carry is called maple syrup urine disease type 1A. So it's kind of a goofy name. And the reason it's called this is because it actually caught people who have the condition, not carriers, but people who are affected, their urine actually smells like maple syrup. So that is how it was named. So you are just a carrier, so this has no impact on you or your health or anything. For people who do actually have it, like the most classic form of the condition is going to present in infancy. So basically, they can't break down these certain amino acids. So those things build up, and that's why their urine has that sweet maple syrup scent. Beyond that, they'll also experience things like seizures. They can have vomiting, weakness, movement disorders, and, if they are not treated, they will pass away usually within the first few weeks of life.
Oh, geez.
So it's something that needs to be managed pretty strictly with diet. So, any of those amino acids they can't break down need to be removed basically from the diet. So, we can still see complications like with neurological functioning with these individuals, just because sometimes, the dietary management may not work properly, or, it can be kind of unpredictable. People can still have symptoms. So we definitely recommend, a donor be screened for this condition and be negative as well. Okay. And the same risks would apply here. If, a donor was also a carrier, it would be a 25% risk to have an affected child. If the donor is tested and is negative, the risk is significantly less than 1%. Okay.
Okay.
And just something I do recommend when you are looking for a donor, depending on, the specific bank you're using, a lot of banks have like a filter, so you can put in what you're positive for.
Okay.
And then they would filter out donors that either have not been tested for those conditions or were positive. Um, Something that I've seen before with people is it looks like the donor has, they're negative for everything that they were tested for. So people may think, oh, they're not a carrier for anything. But they may not have had comprehensive testing done. So they may have only been tested for like 20 conditions and they're negative for all of them. But really, you need to make sure, the key is making sure that they were tested for whatever you do carry and were negative. So that filter can help with it. If you're ever curious too, you can always call the bank and ask them to help you and confirm.
Right.
Or again, we have those donor reviews that we can also walk through the donor with you and make sure they were tested for everything.
Okay.
And lastly, just something to also note, anything that you or the donor carries, you do have a 50% chance to pass carrier status on to each of your kids and for them to be carriers as well. But again, being a carrier is not the same as having the disorder.
Right.
And the same would actually go for your siblings. If you have any brothers or sisters, they would have a 50% chance to carry anything that you carry. Because you would have gotten these mutations or these changes from one of your parents. So we can't tell which parent from this test, so we just recommend telling, all of your siblings, and then if they want to do carrier screening, they can. Okay? Any questions? Any questions about any of that information?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we're good.
Awesome. Okay. And then one last thing, I promise, last thing before we do family history, something I just want to note, because this is a question that I often do get, is if we're testing for things like Down syndrome or other chromosomal disorders when we do this carrier screening.
Okay.
So those conditions usually occur sporadically at conception. They're typically not inherited from the parents. So those aren't things that we test in carrier screening. Those, genetic changes can happen in any pregnancy to people of any age. Historically, we've kind of drawn the line in the sand at the age of 35 and sort of picked that that's when a woman is over the age of 35, that's when we start offering additional screening and everything. But, those conditions are not exclusive to any age group or anything like that. They can happen to anybody. And obviously, no one can change their age. It is what it is. And it doesn't it definitely doesn't mean that your risk is like significantly increased over someone who's 35 or younger. It's just really when additional screening starts to become more available. So, if you were to do like IUI, for example, you will have those screening options during pregnancy. If you do decide to do IVF, then that screening can actually be done on the embryos prior to implantation if you want to.
Right.
So that you could, screen the embryos and then implant embryos without a chromosomal disorder. Okay. Any questions about that information?
No, ma'am.
All right. Awesome.
Let's just close out all of these windows just to make sure I don't get popped up on again. Yeah, so oh, that thing scared me half to death when she popped up, and I thought I had closed the window. Nonetheless, you heard it, guys. You heard all of the information from the horse's mouth. I'm a carrier for 2 different things. We'll just say it that way. I'm still trying to absorb everything. But I am a carrier for 2 different, genetic defects. Y'all caught that maple syrup thing. I'm still stuck on that. The maple syrup thing, that just, anyway. Nonetheless, I am excited. I'm grateful that I'm just a carrier. I mean, I'm assuming that if I had some type of disease or whatever, I would already know what that is. But I'm just grateful that I'm just a carrier for these things, and that and that I know what they are, and I can be very selective in choosing a donor, which I haven't done yet. I know I did my video earlier about choosing a baby daddy. But I am still like in the process of looking. As a matter of fact, I am going to be getting together with my Lion sisters this Sunday, and we are going to select a donor. So that is that on that, y'all. Let me know what you think about this video and what you think about what it is that you've heard. If you've had this done before, please share with me your experience. You don't necessarily have to share your business and what was found or anything like that, but just share your experience. I have to go now. I didn't know that this appointment was going to be that thorough, that exhaustive. And I have an appointment. So I will see you all later. Take care now. Bye.